Welcome to the Val Emmons Show. Today's topics talked about from a woman's perspective. Talk to Val Emmons by calling locally 433-0092 or free long distance at 800-264-0092. Val Emmons only on KARN, News Radio 1029 FM.
And that is me, Val Emmons, and welcome on this Saturday afternoon. It is awesome outside, I might say. It looks like it might rain, but man, I'm telling you, today has been just great. I'm kind of ready for some fall weather. I hope we get it. So today we've got a lot to talk about today, so we're going to get started. And if you want to weigh in on any of today's topics, then give me a call, 501-433-0092. So we're going to be talking about Obamacare today, for most of the show. So in the studio with me, I want to welcome a previous Arkansas congressional candidate, Bob Thomas. I also have with me Dr. George Schroeder and Miranda Traw, who specializes in insurance. So, Bob, I'll let you introduce yourself first.
Sure. I'm Bob Thomas. I'm a medical device rep, do joint replacements and trauma products, just anything metal that goes in the body. I'm a 1099 independent contractor. I've done it for 3 different companies. And right now, I work for Smith & Nephew. We're out of Memphis, Tennessee, and we manufacture medical devices, and we implant them in people, and that's my job.
Okay. Miranda?
Yes, I'm Miranda Traw. I'm an independent insurance broker, and I specialize in life and health insurance products, and I help people choose the plans that's going to best fit their needs and their budget.
Okay. George, or Dr. Schroeder, I'm sorry.
My name is George Schroeder. I'm an eye surgeon. I've been in practice here for my entire career in Little Rock. We do general eye care, diseases of the eye, routine eye exams, and cataract surgery and other surgical procedures for the eye.
Okay, so this is my panel today, and we're going to get right to it. I want each of you to tell me what you've experienced in dealing with Obamacare and how it is affecting the businesses that you work with and your own business. So, Bob, okay. I'll let you start.
Well, first of all, with us, there's a medical device tax that is assigned to the Obamacare in an effort to pay for it, I guess. You know, okay. What's happened there was it's 2.4%, I believe.
Right.
And
on all medical devices.
Yeah, everything. And with us, that turns out to be just to Smith & Nephew, just one company in Memphis, Tennessee. That's $43 million that we got to fine. We got to cough it up.
How much?
$43 million.
For just one company?
Just us. Yep. That's just our company.
To help cover the cost of Obamacare because there's no money.
Yeah, and, all our health insurance premiums are going up. Our gas prices are going up. Utilities are going up. Everything's going up. And sales are down right now with lots of things that are going on. So we're struggling over the last 10 years, just like everybody else has been struggling.
So what are you doing to pay that? Or how are you going to pay that?
Well, and the funny thing is we have to make concessions years ago. So as soon as this was in print, as soon as this bill passed, the company had to make alterations in order to accommodate this.
And what were those alterations?
So what they did was they just fired everybody. I mean, literally.
How many people lost their jobs?
We lost, I guess, in our company, 300 people at least this year alone. And
That's 300 people.
And then 200 last year.
500?
Yeah. And what's happened is it's just we had 3 divisions. We had a sports medicine division, we had a joint division, and we had trauma divisions. And all 3 divisions are fully funded, fully manned, fully going strong, making money, hiring people, manufacturing. And they just basically gutted and made one division and then just got rid of everybody in between.
Which is what we're seeing across the board. Everyone's trying to consolidate things.
Every joint company just literally started throwing people overboard. I mean, that's the only way to keep the ship from sinking.
Right.
Everybody did it, and we've already done it. So here's the crazy thing. So now they're discussing, all these politicians are discussing to get rid of the device tax. We've already fired everybody.
So you're going to hire them back?
No, we're probably not.
They're hopefully already.
Then we're going to buy stock in insurance companies because they're the only ones that are going to make the money in this whole thing. That would probably be the smart thing to do, or invest in gold or something just totally radical. But don't Don't invest in medical devices. It's just
Wow.
stupid.
Wow. Okay, Dr. Schroeder, we'll go to you next because you're a practitioner, right?
That's correct.
Right.
Because Obamacare has really not impacted on us yet. Starts next week is when it starts and kind of phased in with some very polite and politically palatable partial deferrals arranged by our president, but he's
I love how he puts
only
that.
deferred his friends, not everybody else.
Right.
The things that have impacted on me so far is the federal mandate for going to electronic medical records. We've used paper records for all of our career, of course. They work fine. You stack up a lot of paper. Paper is a renewable resource in our state. A lot of people get jobs growing pine trees and turning them into paper. The concern is there's some carrot and stick approach. There's some small carrots at the front. If we converted to electronic medical records that met the government's criteria, we get a 1 or 2% bonus on what we get paid by things that the federal
Right.
government pays for. But the big stick at the end is if you don't convert, you get a progressively more onerous penalty for not doing that.
But from what I've heard, I'm going to stop you right there because I have a question. From what I've heard, not all of those medical records are going to be transferable. Like, you're going to go to one doctor and you're still going to have to do the same thing because not all of those medical records are going to go to your each individual doctors.
You've hit upon the secret. This is not a clinical benefit. It slows me down the office. It requires a large investment in hardware and software and continuing investments in that, plus
Right.
staff
'Cause it's
training
not
and staff
cheap.
time. And I can't see as many people and take good care of them. When they instituted this at the university hospital several years ago, the rap was the doctors would sit in the room with the patients, but they have their back to the patient all the time, typing on a typewriter. And it's really hard to avoid that. We do have a technician in the room who's supposed to be scribing for me, and she usually does. But it slows down the process. The only people who benefit from electronic medical records are the bean counters who can see whether or not we're filling out the blanks properly.
Right.
But it's going to have a big impact on our medical reimbursement, but no impact on patient care.
Right.
There's
Which
no beneficial advantage.
it seems to me like there has been no benefit for patient care because we saw the private option rates come out today. Not today, but this week. And they came out Monday. And they're astronomical. I mean, for me, if I was a 21-year-old kid, there's no way I could afford a $200 insurance premium on supposed to be affordable exchange, because that's the whole reason they created the exchanges. So, Miranda, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. There's going to be products. They're the metallic products, bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. They're going to be offered on the exchange and off of the exchange. So the exchange is really going to be helpful for people who qualify for low income subsidies, and that's going to be people who are below 400% of the federal poverty level. So those people who are in that situation, the products on the exchange could be affordable for them. Otherwise, if you do not qualify for a subsidy, it might be in your better interest to get a product off of the exchange. And the way the metallic plans work, they're going to be offered on and off the exchange. There's no medical underwriting for those. So when you have a product where there's no medical underwriting, that means that it's essentially guaranteed issue. So regardless of health issues, you're going to be accepted into the plan. And what that's going to do is that means that the pool of insureds are going to be unhealthier, right? Because
Right.
the insurance company can't decline you for health issues any longer.
But they can charge you.
Yeah, the premiums are going to
So they're going to charge
increase
everyone
across the
else
board
in the pool, not
for
just the
everybody.
people that have these conditions, but everyone in the pool is going to be covering that.
Right.
So what I'm saying is those rates. I mean, it would have been for me to go on the exchange versus my insurance that I have with my employer about $600 more on the exchange.
Right.
That's
Right.
not what this was supposed to be.
Right.
So what are you hearing, if you can tell us anything yet, about what normal, like, if rates are going to be? Because if that's, I mean, I can't imagine them being lower than, I mean, if you're saying those rates on the exchange is low, I mean, I don't even want to know what regular insurance is going to cost off the exchange.
Well, there's still going to be products on the market available where you go through full medical underwriting.
Right.
Those products' premiums are probably going to be a little bit cheaper because they
In
can
the
still
exchange.
choose whether or not to decline you.
Right.
But if you get one of those products, if they do not offer the 10 essential health benefits, then they are
Set
not
forth by the government.
Right. Then they are not ACA approved, and thus you'll pay the penalty.
Right.
But for some people, it would still be cheaper for them to get a fully underwritten product
And
at
pay
a
the
cheaper
penalty.
premium and pay the penalty.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Versus buying a product on the exchange.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it blows me away that we are left to not get to make the choices in our healthcare. Even so, they're like, you can keep your premium, you can keep your doctor. Well, I don't know if anyone heard this, but Michelle Malkin last week or the week before received a letter from her insurance company stating that they were going to go ahead and drop her that program. They were no longer going to have that program anymore. So they were dropping her from their insurance, and she could reapply for another program. Yeah, okay.
Well, I wonder how many businesses are going to just stop providing health care altogether.
Well, McDonald's already said, as we heard on the Dave Ellswick show, McDonald's is already doing that. They're saying, look, you guys, you love but we can no longer have insurance per Obamacare that has a cap on it.
Yeah.
So therefore, we are not going to be providing insurance anymore. How many McDonald's are there in this country? How many McDonald's are in this country that are, those people are not going to have insurance anymore because of Obamacare. So now they're going to have to go out and for one individual pay. I mean, the lowest rate I saw was for like a 21-year-old, and it was like $170 a month.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do remember vigorously seeing our president standing in front of us saying, if you like your insurance, if you like your doctor, you can keep them. And
Right.
he said that with a straight face.
But he
That is
didn't say your
amazing.
insurance company may change them and not provide that anymore so they can jack up the prices on you. He didn't say that. But, we're stupid. So
As far as the group insurance goes, from what I understand, employers with 50 or less employees aren't going to have to pay that penalty. So if you've got an employer with around 50 employees or a little bit over, they might let a few people go so that they don't have to pay that penalty.
Right.
But the penalties are still going to be cheaper than providing health insurance for employees.
If the penalty's $1 cheaper, I mean, if businesses are trying to squeeze the money out of the business to keep it alive so they can make payroll, that they're going to pay the penalty. They are. I mean, it's just
So we still don't have health care.
exactly.
Okay, well, we're going to talk more about this when we come back. But if you want to call, if you have a question for any of the panel, go ahead and give us a call at 501-433-0092 or toll free 800-264-0092, and we will be right back. Val Emmons Show. And with me in the studio again, we have Bob Thomas, Miranda Traw, and Dr. George Schroeder. And we're talking about Obamacare and how it's going to affect you and how it may have affected you already or how it's affecting businesses. And, I find it absolutely ridiculous that we even have to be doing this right now and going over this and talking about how people have lost their jobs and how much you're going to have to pay a month because of Obama thinks he wants to give us health care. This is no way, shape, or form health care when you mandate someone buy a product or service such as insurance policy. And I want to play what Obama had to say about Republicans with this health care and the debt limit. So go ahead and roll that, Josh.
When 300 acres of New York City waterfront is making...
All right, well, just a second. We get these ads in here before these, before all this stuff, but that's okay. Just let me know when you're ready, Josh, because Obama kind of made me very angry, and I think it's going to make you angry too. Ready?
My message to Congress is this. Do not shut down the government. Do not shut down the economy. Pass a budget on time, pay our bills on time. Refocus on the everyday concerns of the American people. There will be differences between Democrats and Republicans. We can have all kinds of conversations about how to resolve those differences. There'll be areas where we can work together. There'll be areas where we disagree. But do not threaten to burn the house down simply because you haven't gotten 100% of your way. That's not how our democracy is supposed to work. So to any Republican in Congress who's currently watching, I'd encourage you to think about who you're hurting. There are probably young people in your office right now who came to work for you without much pay because they believed that public service was noble. You're preparing to send them home without a paycheck. You've got families with kids back in your districts who serve their country in the federal government. And now they might have to plan how they're going to get by if you shut the government down.
Okay, to that I want to say, what about all the people that have already lost their jobs because of your stupid Obamacare? What about that? And I sure hope that the President Obama remembers this when it's in front of him. When they do pass something and it doesn't include any funding for Obamacare, I hope he remembers that before he vetoes it. How many people? The guy, because if he vetoes it, it'll be shut down.
Our company laid off so many people that they outsourced the layoff because it was going to be an enormous event.
Right.
And it was kind of a shocker, surprise. They're not going to send a signal to the stock exchange that we're going to fire 300 people one day. So they outsourced the whole thing. They hired a crew that came in. They set up in the lobby of the thing, and then everybody had to sit at their desks, and then they brought them down one at a time, and they out-processed them and sent them on their way. And our corporate headquarters is literally like there's 20 cars there, and it's mostly the people that do the maintenance in the building and work in the cafeteria, and there's probably literally 8 executives left in a building of, where there's 400 people that normally work there.
And so he's saying, let's not burn down the house because you're not getting 100% of what you want your way.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? No one is listening to what we want.
Yeah.
Except for folks like Ted Cruz. I mean, you have Senator Boozman trashing Ted Cruz for standing up for his constituents. He's trashing him, saying, stop having people call my line that are out-of-state activists. I just want to let you know, Senator Boozman, that those are folks in your area, in your state, because I'm in the loop. I know what's going on the ground here. And we've been calling, getting busy signals, but we still keep calling, or we may get your voicemail boxes full, but we are the ones calling. It is not folks from out of state. It is not. And take a look at your constituents and what they're asking you to do. They're asking you to defund this horrible, horrible, atrocious bill that is hurting businesses and is hurting people. And it will continue to hurt people. Now let's talk to Paul. We have Paul online. Sorry about that, Paul.
That's okay. It's kind of hard to listen to all that, but my question is, what are the 10 requirements to meet the new health care law? Because I've had insurance
Miranda,
at work, and, we went to more higher-priced stuff, and it's been a nightmare for the last 3 years, but I was just wondering what are the 10 requirements that you talked about a while ago.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the 10 requirements are called the essential health benefits, and a lot of the major medical policies have a lot of these on there now, but there are going to be some additional benefits added. Number 1, they have to offer ambulatory patient services. Number 2, they have to offer emergency services. Number 3, they have to offer hospitalization. Number 4, they have to offer maternity and newborn care on every policy. So if you're a 23-year-old male, you're going to now have maternity coverage.
Awesome.
If you have a baby, I want to hear about it. That's going to make my show.
They're going to have to offer mental health and substance abuse. They're going to have to cover prescription drugs. They're going to have to cover rehabilitative and habilitative services. And everyone knows what rehab is. If you have a knee surgery and you need some rehab to get back on your feet again, you go through rehab. Habilitative services include services that you may have never acquired due to a disability or whatnot. So they'll train you how to do those skills.
Wait, explain that one again.
Habilitative services are services that a person has never acquired.
What does that mean?
Maybe it's a physical or speech impediment, and they need some physical or speech therapy to acquire different skills.
Okay.
So it's not rehab, because that's when you have a skill, you lose it briefly and you relearn it.
Right.
Habilitative is when you don't have the skill and you're learning it.
Okay.
This is
Does that
by
make sense?
definition a pre-existing condition. You had it. It's
Yeah.
been there for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going to have to cover lab work. They're going to have to cover preventative and wellness benefits. Going to have to cover pediatric services like dental and vision.
Okay.
So
I hope that answers your question, Paul.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
The preventive and wellness services, that's code talk for birth control, even for companies and religious organizations for whom that violates their conscience.
Are you serious?
Exactly.
That's what Hobby Lobby is fighting.
Yes, exactly. Christian organization, Christian-based organizations that do
A preventative service? Okay, so
Yeah.
preventing oh my gosh.
birth control
I didn't even
pills
think
and
about that.
abortion, after the birth control methods that are abortifacient, and those people like myself who have a conscience objection to that are
Right.
having to pay for it. Some of it they say.
Well, even folks like me, Doctor, I'm not religious, but I don't agree with forcing anybody who doesn't believe in that, like in your religious. I mean, that's your personal bubble, and you should not be forced to do things that go against your conscience.
Well, you could consider that religious freedom.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean,
My
yeah.
religious freedom and
I love the way you put that. No.
my religious freedom and that of the CEO of Hobby
Right.
Lobby and the universities that are religious based, they're having to pay for stuff. Or sometimes the government has worked out a so-called compromise where the employer, the insurance buyer, does not have to pay for it, but the insurance company's got to give it away free. Duh. Who's going to pay for that? The insurance company going
Well,
to
they're
take it out
just
of their
going to jack
profit?
out. Yeah, they're just going to raise your rates a little bit to
Okay.
cover it and say, well, this is just your rate increase.
Okay.
Well, what about the argument that that this is all just stage one of a complete government health care? A single payer thing. I do think that that's a possibility, that this isn't a checkers game. This is chess. And that
Are they checkmate?
yeah, they're already talking about it. They're already, like, when you see the left pundits talking about.
Oh,
yeah,
they're ecstatic with how. Yeah.
Yeah, they love that this is a train wreck.
Yeah.
They absolutely love it,
I know.
and they're like, "Well, so let's go to the next step." So, I mean, maybe I'm being conspiratorial.
No,
in
I
my
don't think
thought,
so.
But I think this is the game plan. Personally,
I think it is too, and I think we're finally people are starting to realize that.
Yep.
You know, the other day, I'm going to say this and then we're going to go to break because we have to do that at 4:30 news. But the other day I was watching something and I came across the guy who created the Obama, the hope change sign, the different colored sign. They caught him, TMZ caught him. TMZ anyway. But I thought it was interesting because they're so liberal, And they asked him if he would do anything differently on that sign now. And he was like, yeah, well, a couple of things differently. And how about drones? And I was like, what? Has it finally happened? Have people finally woke up? Have we awoke the giant called the American people to what is really going on? So we'll talk more about that when we come back. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back.
Lay down the law, don't make a sound, just critical, just going down.
And we are back, the Val Emmons Show. In the studio with me again, Bob Thomas, Miranda Traw, and Dr. George Schroeder. And we're talking Obamacare today. And George, during the break, you brought up something that I think is very important that folks need to hear about. So I'll let you take it.
Several reasons why Obamacare is bad for doctors, and when it's bad for the doctor, it's bad for you. And people may think that we are the fat cats. I didn't go to medical school to get rich. We've never missed a rent payment or a house payment, but the motivation for taking care of people is because you like people, you're academically stimulated by the process, and you love serving people. On top of that, we've been well paid during the last decades in America. With the influx of new patients being paid by the government, federal taxpayers and Chinese creditors are going to be paying our bills. They're going to pay about 56 cents on the dollar for what the private insurance people have paid all along. Medicare is paying about 80%. Also, there's this thing called the sustainable growth rate, which has mandated about a 2 or 3% pay cut for physicians in Medicare each year for the last 10 years. And for the last 10 years, there's been an annual fuss in Congress. They passed a thing called a doc fix, so that's been postponed. We are due and probably are going to get in the next year or so that 20% suddenly slapped on us for Medicare reimbursement. If you figure my office has a 50% overhead, which is approximately average. That means a 50, half of my income will be cut, because we have in eye surgery primarily a Medicare geriatric practice. Certainly our surgical practice is that. When that comes in, most of us can't keep on taking care of Medicare patients. You'll have a hard time yourself when you're over 65 and your mother and father and grandfather now getting actually to find a doctor in a subspecialty or in primary care medicine. So we'll basically have an exacerbation of the physician shortage. We're going to be way short of physicians in the next 5 or 6 years anyhow. This is going to make that worse. A lot of us are going to retire or stop taking Medicare patients. So availability is not going to be there.
Miranda, you had something to add to that?
Yeah, with the health insurance, the ACA is going to throw an estimated 20 to 30 million newly insured people into the healthcare system. And these people are going to be people who either A, could not afford health insurance before, and they're now getting a subsidy, and they can. And it's going to be people who are who medically could not qualify for health insurance. So you're going to get a ton of people who are newly insured starting in January going to doctor's offices. And so I really recommend people who have insurance right now, go and get your physical. If you're due for a physical, go and get it before December.
That's advice I haven't heard yet. I mean, really.
Yeah, go and get it before December.
Because you're not going to be able to get an appointment.
Right. The wait times will probably be a lot longer than what they are now, just to try and handle the slew of newly insured individuals coming in to see a doctor that they've probably not seen in several years.
And then there are going to be tests to run. There's going to be everything. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And the whole Medicare reimbursement rate is going to decrease over the years. And I'm already seeing now, I work extensively with Medicare beneficiaries, and I'm already seeing some doctors get out of the Medicare market altogether. And so over the course of the years, as they decrease the Medicare reimbursement rate, more and more doctors are going to quit taking Medicare and just take private insurance where they get 100% of what they bill. So,
and then Bob, you had something to add to that as well. See, I mean, these are the experts, guys. These are not politicians that just decide what. These are the folks that are dealing with your life on a daily basis, and insurance, and in the medical practice, and the medical devices. These are the people that are in it, in the trenches. These are not politicians making rules that they have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, we are the world leader in medical devices. Now, I say we, I mean America, the United States of America. We design, we manufacture, we produce finished goods that are just second to none in the world. And we export all over the world. I mean, it's unbelievable how much money that we bring back to the United States in exporting medical devices. And this industry is getting just crushed by this program. And it's sort of a sad thing, but you know, I mean, I'm one guy or one industry in this whole thing, and you know, that's what you asked me to be here, and I'm just one person that's in here. But instead of making better products, we're trying to figure out how to make existing products cheaper, and we're making disposable instruments, and instead of spending our research and development on the next medical device,
big thing, right?
The next big thing
to save someone's body.
We're trying to do it for, you know, as cheap as absolutely possible, just because of the way when these reimbursements start going down, and the insurance companies typically follow suit. Whatever Medicare does, that whatever the reduction is, the insurance companies that will pay for joint replacement or for trauma cases goes down. But what we are seeing, though, is like sports medicine products and trauma products get people back to work. And so the government is less likely to reduce the surgical fees on those, because those people pay taxes.
Right.
Now, what's the problem with that? The problem with that is the older people, the geriatric that you're talking about, Doctor, are people that are retired. They're not paying taxes. The government could care less if they're happy about
because they're not going out working every day.
Yeah,
right.
so
That's ridiculous.
Joint replacements, that subsect of society is not as prolific as paying the
growing.
Yeah,
it's going to
living
stagnate.
off the system. Yeah, well, no, so they're going to stop. That's where you're going to see a huge reduction in reimbursement rates, and that's where I think is going to be a problem.
Well, I'm going to get. We have a question real quick, and then I'll let you.
Thank you.
Cray's been waiting for a while. Sorry, Cray.
No problem. You were asking if you wonder if this is going to be the first step in. No. This is the next step in the government, the parasite, bloating itself until the government doesn't realize that it needs to be moderate in how much it sucks from the host. So the parasite is going to bloat itself until it destroys itself. And after that happens and there is no more government, we will all be sovereign individuals. Wow. But it
That's
might
a good way to
take
put it,
other
though, the
50
host,
years or something before the government does bloat itself till it implodes.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. You can only live off other people's money for so long.
We'll either be sovereign individuals or subject individuals with somebody else in charge, Big Brother-like. Touching on what Bob Thomas said, speaking of rationing, basically, amongst the other bureaucratic things as part and parcel of Obamacare, there are lots of different panels set up, but the one that's important now is the Independent Payment Advisory Board. It's going to have 15 unelected bureaucrats who are going to make decisions basically on how to allocate money, what to pay for, what to subsidize, what to restrict. And basically what that's going to be is...
What to pay for.
It's going to restrict things like joint replacements for me when I'm old enough, and my mother and daddy, etc.
Because you no longer need to work.
I don't need to work, and it'll be like in the other countries. This is not the first time this has been tried. You can look at England, you can look at Canada.
Oh, yeah.
There's a 6-month wait to get your hip replacement done, which impacts Bob's business, and more importantly, impacts the individual person who
can't live.
6 months of his life when you're 70 years old is a bad deal. You're walking around in pain. We were told there would be no rationing. This basically is it. This is the death panel, with which we were told you are goofy to say it.
I mean, think about it. I never thought about that, the way you guys put it. You know what? You don't contribute to society anymore, so you don't need that. And
you can engineer. It's like social engineering.
That's ridiculous. Oh, my gosh. We have Mary. Mary, how are you?
Hello. My husband and I are on Medicare, but we also have Blue Cross Blue Shield to take care of what Medicare won't pay. Will we be affected? I mean, the doctor he doesn't just have to have Medicare, because Blue Cross pays the other 20% that Medicare doesn't pay.
Right. As of right now, y'all are sitting pretty good. You should not be affected, other than that doctors may get out of the Medicare market. But as far as having the Medicare A and B and the Medicare supplemental insurance through Blue Cross, your coverage benefits should remain the same.
Well, I would think, I don't know why they would not service the Medicare person, because we are paying
but it's rules and regulations that they have to meet in order to be able to accept that particular option.
Yeah, but since they'd be getting paid as much as someone on a private insurance, since the Blue Cross Blue Shield makes up for the other part, I thought maybe, but I know we're okay for now, and no telling what will happen later.
Right. Yeah, you should be okay for next year, and like you said, the years thereafter, we'll just kind of have to play it by ear.
Yeah, thank you.
And Miranda, while we're thinking about it, do you want to go ahead and give your information out to everyone? That way they can contact you if they have any questions.
Yes, I have a cell phone number. It's 870-612-4369. Again, it's 870-612-4369.
Where you can call me and I can get you in touch with her. Dr. Schroeder, you want to give your information out?
I'm in practice in the Baptist Eye Center. You can find mine. If I write down your phone number, you won't remember it. Just look for Dr. George Schroeder under ophthalmologist at the Baptist Eye Center.
And he's awesome. I go to his clinic. It's fabulous. They're great people in there. No rudeness. Anyway, you know how you go to the doctor's office. Sometimes they're real snooty. They're just not like that there. And then we have Bob Thomas.
Yeah, you probably don't. You're in an ambulance somewhere.
That's funny.
You got a broken leg or something. But
but we appreciate you coming on and talk to us. So you can stick around though, because when we come back, we're gonna take a short break, and then we've got Bilenda Harris-Ritter. She's gonna give us an update on the DCC legislative hearings and the Act 570. So we'll be right back. Back on the Val Emmons Show. I hope you guys like that American for Prosperity commercial about Obamacare. I wanted to play it again because I think it absolutely tells the truth about the situation that we're in right now. But on the phone right now, I want to get to Bilenda Harris-Ritter. Hey, Bilenda.
Hey, Val. How are you today?
I'm fabulous. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to call in and let us give us an update on the legislative hearings this week.
Well, you will be amazed at what I'm about to tell you.
I'm never amazed, Bilenda.
No, this is going to get you. Over the summer, I have attended hearings that were held by the Joint Performance Review Committee of the House and Senate and the Joint Judiciary Committee. And this last week, I went to yet a third committee. It is the Subcommittee for Charitable, Penal, and Correctional Institutions. It's a subcommittee of the Legislative Council.
Charitable?
And it was chaired by Senator Stephanie Flowers. Well, there was a report from Sheila Sharp, who is the head of the Department of Community Corrections now, on the implementation of Act 570. Nowhere was public safety asked about. There were no questions about public safety. And the big question that Senator Flowers had for Ms. Sharp was if the staff at DCC is doing its job to sign up offenders for Obamacare.
What?
Yes. And have they made arrangements for these staff people to be guides or navigators to sign up offenders for Obamacare?
You have got to be kidding me.
No, I told you were going to be shocked. You didn't believe me.
Okay, I'm shocked. Okay, you got me there. Are you serious? So we're more concerned about signing people up for Obamacare than we are worrying about people's safety when folks get out on the street, when criminals are out on the street?
That's right.
Can you...
That's sickening. And I'll tell you one other thing that I think is interesting. There were some very good questions asked at all the hearings, but some of the really good questions were never answered. And one of the best questions was at the Joint Judiciary Committee hearing, and it was Senator Jeremy Hutchinson asked, if there are people committing crimes who are out of jail or prison because of Act 570, because of the changes by Act 570.
Right. Real quick, before you tell us can you give folks an overview, a real quick overview of what Act 570 is?
Act 570 was passed by the legislature in 2011. It made huge changes to our criminal justice system. Some of the changes that are really significant for public safety are that it made things that used to be felonies misdemeanors.
Like
so a lot of people who normally would have been in prison just get arrested for misdemeanors, and that gets pre-bargained out because there's no room in the jails anymore.
Right. Okay. Now back to what Jeremy Hutchinson said.
He asked him a really good question. If there are people who are out committing crimes who wouldn't be out committing crimes if it hadn't been for Act 570 being passed. Well, nobody could answer that. And earlier in the summer, I think it was Senator David Sanders asked how many absconders there were. And they didn't have an answer for that. And at the next hearing, Senator Eddie Joe Williams asked the same question. And, well, they didn't have those figures then either, but they'd get them. But they never
got them.
No. So then this was the last hearing on this subject that was already arranged. And it was about what is being implemented.
For
and
Obamacare.
All the questions were about, well, how many of you signed up for Obamacare?
That's just absolutely ridiculous. That blows my mind, Bilenda.
Pardon me?
That blows my mind.
Yeah.
You're right. You blew my mind.
I was stunned by it.
You have done it. Oh, my goodness. So are we talking about folks that are, like, on probation or...
Probation and parole, I think, because that's the Department of Community Corrections.
Right.
Although from the way the questions were, it was like she wanted to know about people who are in prison.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. You can't... What? Are we going to put people in prison on Obamacare? Are they also... oh, my gosh, that's a whole new thing that nobody has talked about.
Right.
Are we going to put prisoners on Obamacare?
Well, how are they going to go to the doctor?
Right. I mean, if they have to, if every American has to have insurance, does that also go? Oh my gosh.
Apparently.
Well, it would. It's a gimmick. It would get some federal money from federal taxpayers and Chinese creditors to offset what otherwise the state would have to pay when the prisoner required medical care outside of the prison's doctor.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're going to have to look at that next.
Yes. Well, and I think they're looking at it as, oh, we're going to save money because we're going to put everybody on Obamacare. The problem is, it's our pocket. It doesn't matter.
It's just a magic money tree, Belinda.
Right. Wow, I forgot about the money tree. How silly of me.
Oh my gosh. Well, I also wanted to talk to you about, real quick, because we only have a few minutes left, I wanted to talk to you about the Josh Hastings trial. Is that not sickening? How does this prosecutor keep trying to try this man when it's already mistrial, acquitted twice, or not acquitted, but mistrial twice?
It's a waste of taxpayers' money to say immediately we're going to have a third trial. It's an outrage. People should write to Larry Jagley and say, no, enough.
Yeah.
Police have to be able to have discretion at the time they're in the middle of a serious situation that is life and death.
Yeah, and not to mention, you're there at 4, just picture this, folks, picture this, whether you're for it or against it, whatever, picture this. You're standing there, 4 o'clock in the morning, you're out doing your job because someone called you and said there's people breaking into cars. 4 o'clock in the morning, pitch dark, you got headlights glaring at you, and you hear an engine revving. You don't know if they're going forwards or backwards, or you don't know who's in the car either.
Right.
But the judge doesn't let the information in that these kids, 15-year-old kids, one of them, the one that was shot, Bobby Moore Jr., was going to be charged as an adult come August, or, back then in August, and was out on a $100,000 bond. And there was a .45 gun in the car with weed and a pipe.
Right.
He will not let that information into the jury. Why?
Right. He won't let it in because he thinks it's more prejudicial than probative, but I think it's way more probative. Exactly. It is exactly important information that is evidence that should be admitted.
Yeah, and the jury would have came back with a verdict. I guarantee you they would have came back with a verdict if they would have had that information.
Right, and it would have been not guilty.
Exactly. So, well, we thank you for calling in, Belinda, and we thank you for giving your time to go to these hearings and to, explain it to folks, because sometimes we get so caught up and we don't understand and we don't know what's going on with this, with the system.
Well, I'm happy to do it, and I want to plug my campaign real quickly before I get off. I'm running for Justice of the Peace. If you go to Facebook, you can go to Bilenda Harris-Ritter for Justice of the Peace. You just have to spell my name right, Bilenda.
You can go to my page and find her, yes.
And I talk about a lot of issues that are important at the county level for everybody. We forget the Obamacare issue and the public safety issue and overcrowding in prison really impacts the county because of the county jail.
Right.
So that's critical, not just at the state and federal levels, but also our county level.
And you have a fundraiser coming up, don't you?
I do, on October 30th at American Pie Pizza on Maumelle Boulevard, right by Maumelle. From 4:30 to 6:30.
Yeah, we'll let folks know about that closer to the date as well. And I support you in anything you do, Belinda. And we thank you for calling in. We're about to wrap up the show, so I'm gonna let you go now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, do you believe that, guys? Prisoners, they're criminals. They want to make sure they're on Obamacare, but they don't care about your safety.
Yeah. Well, that throw a wrench into this whole thing. What if not many people sign up for Obamacare? I mean,
right.
you're saying we're giving you all these wonderful things, but there's a good chance that my prediction is that this bottom 1/3 of the U.S. that doesn't have health insurance, they don't have jobs and they don't even care to have health insurance. They're not going to spend any money, and there's going to be some people that have pre-existing conditions that will sign up for Obamacare. But my prediction is that in rural parts of the United States, it won't. This will be, Obamacare is going to be for urban parts of the U.S. And there's two countries. There's the urbanites and the rural people. I almost think there should be two parties. Like you should have an urban party and a rural party, and that's what should happen.
And George, did you have one last thing to add to the conversation?
No, I did not. Thank you.
Okay. And Miranda, do you want to talk about the penalties? We have 1 minute.
Yeah, the penalties are, and I do think that people who are going to get a low-income subsidy, I think they're really going to enroll in these plans. But the penalty for not enrolling for 2014 is $95 per adult, or 1% of the gross family income. And in 2015, it's $325 per adult, or 2% of gross family income. But the issue with the penalty is that the government is going to withhold your tax refund to pay for that penalty. Now, if you don't get a tax refund and you owe a penalty, the government is going to ask you nicely to pay them what you owe them, but there's no teeth to it. They can't garnish wages. They can't put a lien on anything. So they're just going
That's
to
interesting, 'cause I didn't know that.
to be honest and to pay them what you owe them.
Wow. I think that I've heard that they've expected you to be honest about signing up, too, and they're not going to ask for your income verification. That's a little ridiculous.
Yeah, but
Citizenship verification, perhaps?
I hope so.
The income verification, the way that's going to work, from what I understand, if you tell them that you make less money so that you get a penalty, and then on your next year's tax returns you show you made more money, you're going to have to pay that subsidy back.
All right,
From
well,
what I
we are
understand.
out. I'm sorry we have more time. We will definitely get you guys back in here next time. Enjoy your day, guys. Peace out.